Mechanics who own Lexus vehicles don't maintain them the same way they tell you to, not because they're cutting corners, but because after years of working on these cars professionally, they learn things about Lexus engineering that never make it into the owner's manual. These are the adjustments, techniques, and hidden system behaviors that people who actually understand these vehicles apply to their own personal cars. Some of these will feel like they shouldn't be possible. A few of them sound like they cross a line, but every single one of them is rooted in how Lexus actually built these systems to work. Let's get into it. Trick number 1. Disconnecting the trunk light fuse before long-term parking. This one sounds too simple to matter. It isn't. The trunk-mounted interior lamp in most Lexus models, that small incandescent or LED bulb mounted to the ceiling of the luggage compartment, draws a small but continuous current from the 12-volt auxiliary battery whenever the trunk lid is opened. In a properly functioning vehicle, that's not an issue. But Lexus vehicles, like most modern luxury cars, run a large number of background electronic modules even when parked. The combination of module standby draw plus any parasitic drain from a lamp that wasn't fully extinguished due to a slightly misaligned trunk latch or a door ajar sensor that failed to register can slowly pull a 12-volt battery below the threshold needed for reliable cold starts. Mechanics who park their personal Lexus for extended periods, more than 2 weeks, will pull the specific trunk interior light fuse from the engine bay fuse block before leaving. This eliminates one variable from the parasitic drain equation entirely. It takes 10 seconds. It costs nothing. And when they return, the battery is exactly where they left it. Trick number 2. Running the air conditioning system in defrost mode once a month, even in summer. This one genuinely surprises people the first time they hear it. Running the front defrost function, which is the button on the climate control panel that activates the rear window defroster grid and simultaneously routes maximum airflow across the inside of the front windshield, does more than clear foggy glass. When the front defrost mode is engaged, the Lexus climate control system automatically activates the air conditioning compressor regardless of the temperature setting. The compressor runs, circulates refrigerant through the entire system, including the evaporator core mounted behind the dashboard, and that refrigerant flow carries compressor oil with it to lubricate the internal seals and bearings. In climates where air conditioning goes unused for months, compressor seals dry out and refrigerant slowly escapes past them. The result is a system that blows warm air the following summer and needs a $300 to $600 recharge, or in worse cases, a compressor replacement that runs $1,000 to $1,500. Running defrost mode for 5 to 10 minutes once a month during winter months keeps those seals lubricated, keeps refrigerant where it belongs, and keeps the compressor bearings from corroding. Mechanics who live in northern states do this routinely on their own cars. Most Lexus owners have never been told it matters. Trick number 3. Performing a throttle body. Relearn after every battery disconnection. Here is something the average Lexus owner discovers the hard way. After replacing the 12-volt battery, the standard lead-acid auxiliary battery located under the hood or in the trunk depending on the model, the engine feels different. Idle quality is rough. Throttle response feels hesitant. Fuel economy drops noticeably for the first week of driving. Most owners assume the new battery is causing this. It is not. The Lexus engine control module, which manages fuel injection, ignition timing, and idle speed through the electronically controlled throttle body, loses its learned adaptive fuel trim data whenever the battery is fully disconnected. That data took thousands of miles of driving to accumulate. It controls exactly how the engine idles, how quickly it responds to light throttle inputs, and how efficiently it runs under partial load. Mechanics know that the engine control module relearns this data faster under specific conditions, allowing the engine to idle from cold start without touching the accelerator pedal for approximately 10 minutes, just sitting in park, undisturbed, gives the engine control module time to re-establish idle baseline data. Following that, with a smooth 20-minute highway drive at steady speeds between 55 and 65 miles per hour, allows the transmission control module to relearn shift points as well. Doing this deliberately after a battery change eliminates a week of rough running and returns the engine to proper calibration in one session. Trick number 4. Using the Lexus multi-information display to monitor coolant temperature, not just the dashboard gauge. The temperature gauge on the instrument cluster in most Lexus models is what engineers call a damped gauge. It is deliberately designed to show normal, even when the actual coolant temperature is running noticeably higher or lower than ideal. This design exists to prevent driver panic over minor temperature swings that are completely normal during warm-up or stop-and-go traffic. The problem is that it also masks early overheating signals that a real-time temperature reading would catch immediately. What most Lexus owners don't know is that the multi-information display, that is the digital readout, controlled by the buttons on the left side of the steering wheel, can be cycled through multiple data screens, including actual coolant temperature in numeric form on many Lexus models equipped with the older Generation 8 and Generation 9 navigation systems. Mechanics who own Lexus vehicles keep this screen active during daily driving. A coolant temperature reading that climbs above 230 degrees Fahrenheit during normal highway driving, or one that fluctuates erratically, tells them something is wrong with the thermostat or the water pump before the instrument cluster gauge ever moves off-center. Trick number 5. Manually cycling the variable valve, timing solenoids with a warm-up technique. Lexus 5.8 engines, particularly the 4.6-liter 1UR-FE used in the LS460 and the GX460, and the 5.0-liter 2UR-FSE used in the ISF and RCF, use variable valve timing with intelligence, which Lexus calls VVTI. This system adjusts the timing of the intake and exhaust camshafts using oil pressure fed through small solenoid valves located on the front of the cylinder head near the camshaft sprockets. These solenoid valves have very small internal screens that accumulate sludge over time, especially in engines that have run extended oil change intervals or have seen a lot of short, cold trips where oil never fully heats up. When those VVTI solenoid screens get partially clogged, the engine produces a characteristic rattling noise during cold starts that disappears after a minute of idling. Most owners ignore this. Mechanics recognize it as early VVT system hesitation. The technique they use on their own cars is this. After the oil is fully warmed to operating temperature, they briefly cycle through driving modes and RPM ranges, accelerating steadily to about 3,500 revolutions per minute and holding it for several seconds before returning to idle 2 or 3 times. This maximizes oil pressure through the VVTI solenoid passages, which helps flush light deposit accumulation through the system. It is not a substitute for a solenoid cleaning or replacement when one is genuinely failing, but as routine maintenance it keeps these passages clear and extends the life of the solenoid valves significantly. If you made it this far, consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. It helps bring you more honest car advice. Trick number 6. Reprogramming the power sliding sunroof pinch force sensitivity. Most Lexus owners with a panoramic or standard power moonroof know that the sunroof motor includes an auto reverse function, and if the glass panel encounters an obstruction while closing, the system reverses direction immediately to prevent damage or injury. What they don't know is that this pinch sensitivity can drift over time, particularly after the vehicle has been through significant temperature changes, or after the sunroof track and glass seal has been cleaned or lubricated. When the pinch force calibration is off, the sunroof may refuse to close fully, reversing direction at the last inch of travel with no obstruction present. Mechanics who encounter this on their own Lexus vehicles perform a manual recalibration. The process involves closing the sunroof fully, using the sunroof switch on the overhead console, then holding the close button for several additional seconds past the point of full closure, typically 3 to 5 seconds, which resets the motor's force limit sensor to the correct position. This recalibration is built into Lexus sunroof motor design specifically for this purpose, but it is buried so deep in the owner's manual that almost no one finds it before paying a dealer to fix a problem that fixes itself in 30 seconds. Trick number 7. Keeping transmission fluid temperature in check on spirited drives using neutral coasting. This one requires a little understanding of how Lexus automatic transmissions generate heat. The Lexus 8-speed automatic transmission, found in the GSF, RCF, IS500, and LS models, uses a torque converter that produces significant heat when slipping during acceleration from a stop and during gear changes under load. Transmission fluid temperature directly affects the long-term life of the friction clutch packs inside the transmission. Above 250 degrees Fahrenheit, automatic transmission fluid begins breaking down chemically. Above 300 degrees Fahrenheit, that breakdown accelerates rapidly. Mechanics who enjoy spirited highway on-ramp driving in their personal Lexus vehicles use a technique that sounds counterintuitive. When approaching a highway or a long straight after a spirited acceleration run, they shift the 8-speed transmission to neutral, using the gear selector, and allow the engine to return to idle while the car coasts to the speed limit. This removes torque load from the transmission immediately, allows the torque converter to stop generating heat, and gives the transmission fluid a brief window to shed temperature before the next load cycle. The neutral coast also allows engine braking to drop RPM without the transmission being held in gear under engine braking load, which generates its own heat. On a long enthusiast drive, this technique can keep transmission fluid temperatures 20 to 30 degrees lower over the course of an hour, which is meaningful protection over years of ownership. Trick number 8. Using the Lexus Inform remote climate system to precondition the hybrid battery on cold mornings. This is my personal favorite. Lexus hybrid models, the RX 450h, ES 300h, UX 250h, and NX 350h, all use nickel metal hydride or lithium-ion battery packs that have an optimal operating temperature range. Cold weather reduces the available power output from these battery packs because lithium-ion and nickel metal hydride cell chemistry slows at low temperatures. A battery pack that sat at 15 degrees Fahrenheit overnight cannot deliver full power output until it warms to somewhere between 60 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit, which the hybrid system achieves by running the gasoline engine longer than usual, defeating the fuel economy advantage that made the hybrid worth buying in the first place. What mechanics who own Lexus hybrids figured out is this: the Lexus Inform remote start function. Accessible through the Lexus Inform app on both iOS and Android, starts the vehicle 30 to 45 minutes before the first drive. This runs the gasoline engine and the hybrid battery's internal thermal management system simultaneously, warming both the engine and the high-voltage hybrid battery pack to operational temperature before the driver even opens the door. When the driver does get in and pull away, the hybrid battery is already warm enough to accept and deliver full electrical power immediately. Fuel economy on that first 20-minute commute improves noticeably. The gasoline engine transitions to hybrid operation earlier, and the hybrid battery pack, which lasts longest when it operates within its designed temperature window, experiences less stress. Mechanics with hybrid Lexus vehicles run this remote preconditioning every single cold morning. Most hybrid Lexus owners have never connected the Inform app to their vehicle at all. Trick number 9. Pulling error codes with a Bluetooth OBD2 reader before any dashboard warning light appears. The Lexus onboard diagnostic system operates on a 2-stage threshold. When a sensor reading moves outside of the normal operating range, the engine control module logs a pending fault code. This is stage 1. The malfunction indicator lamp, the check engine light on the instrument cluster, does not illuminate at this stage. It only illuminates once the fault condition has been confirmed across multiple consecutive drive cycles. That means the Lexus already knows something is developing before you ever see a warning light. Mechanics who own Lexus vehicles plug a Bluetooth OBD2 reader, a small diagnostic interface that plugs into the OBD2 port located beneath the driver's side dashboard panel, typically to the left of the steering column, and pair it with a smartphone app. They check for pending fault codes once a month as routine practice. A pending P0420 code, which indicates catalytic converter efficiency below threshold, caught at the pending stage might indicate nothing more than a dirty oxygen sensor or an exhaust leak that is easy and inexpensive to fix. Ignored until the check engine light appears and the code becomes confirmed, the same fault can result in a failed catalytic converter replacement costing $1,500 to $3,000. The reader costs $25. Catching faults early is one of the most financially impactful habits any Lexus owner can develop. Trick number 10. Lubricating door check strap hinges before they squeak, not after. Every Lexus door uses a door check strap. That's the mechanical arm mounted to the inside of the door, connecting the door panel to the body pillar, which creates the intermediate hold position when a door is partially open. It prevents the door from swinging fully open against a wall or another vehicle. This check strap uses a roller bearing mechanism that moves across a plastic detent strip. Over time, that roller and strip go dry, and the result is a squeaking or creaking noise every time the door is opened or closed. On a luxury vehicle with the refinement level of a Lexus, this sound is disproportionately irritating. Mechanics lubricate the door check strap mechanism on their personal vehicles before any squeak develops, usually once every 18 to 24 months. A small amount of white lithium grease applied to the check strap roller and the plastic detent strip, accessible by opening the door and locating the arm near the hinge side of the door, keeps the mechanism silent and moving freely. The entire process takes 2 minutes per door. Waiting until the squeak appears means the plastic detent strip has already developed wear grooves, which the lubricant can quiet temporarily but cannot fully eliminate. Prevention beats repair on this one every time. Trick number 11. Cleaning the mass airflow sensor before replacing it. The mass airflow sensor, mounted inside the intake air duct between the air filter housing and the throttle body, measures the volume and density of air entering the engine and sends that data to the engine control module to calculate precise fuel injection amounts. When this sensor accumulates oil contamination from the crankcase ventilation system or dust from a degraded air filter element, its readings become inaccurate. The engine runs rich, fuel economy drops, and eventually a fault code triggers the check engine light. The common response is replacement. A Lexus OEM mass airflow sensor runs $150 to $400 depending on the model. Mechanics who own Lexus vehicles try something different first. They remove the mass airflow sensor from the intake duct. It is secured with 2 screws and spray the sensing element directly with mass airflow sensor cleaner, a solvent available at any auto parts store for under $10. The sensing element consists of 2 small heated wires visible inside the sensor housing. 3 or 4 short bursts of cleaner, allowed to air dry completely for 20 minutes, removes contamination from those wires without damaging them. Reinstalled and started, a contaminated mass airflow sensor that was triggering fault codes frequently returns to normal function after this cleaning. Replacement is still sometimes necessary, but cleaning costs $8 and takes 30 minutes. Mechanics always try that first. Trick number 12. Adjusting headlight aim after any front suspension or steering work. This one has safety implications that most Lexus owners never consider. The adaptive front lighting system on Lexus models like the RX, ES, and LS uses stepper motors mounted to the headlight housing assembly, located behind the front fascia on both sides of the vehicle, to physically pivot the headlight beam left or right as the steering wheel turns. This system requires a precise calibration between the steering angle sensor, the vehicle height sensors on the front suspension, and the headlight pivot motors. Any service that disturbs the front suspension geometry, for example alignment, tie rod replacement, control arm bushing replacement, or strut replacement, can shift the calibration point of the steering angle sensor slightly. When that happens, the adaptive headlights aim differently than intended. The driver rarely notices immediately because the shift is gradual, but over time, the headlights may be pointing too low, too far to one side, or not pivoting correctly through corners. Mechanics who own Lexus vehicles with adaptive front lighting request a headlight aim check and steering angle sensor reset using a dealer-level Lexus TechStream diagnostic interface after any front suspension or steering work. This takes 5 minutes and keeps the adaptive lighting doing exactly what Lexus designed it to do: illuminate where the car is actually turning. Trick number 13. Never letting the fuel level drop below a quarter tank on direct injection Lexus engines. The Lexus IS350, GS350, RC350, and LS500 all use direct injection engines. Direct injection means the fuel injectors spray gasoline directly into the combustion chamber rather than into the intake port upstream of the intake valves. This system improves combustion efficiency dramatically, but it creates a side effect that Lexus mechanics see regularly on high-mileage examples. Without fuel washing over the back of the intake valves, as happens in port-injected engines, carbon deposits accumulate on the rear face of the intake valve heads and on the intake valve stems. Over time, those deposits restrict airflow into the combustion chamber, causing rough idle, hesitation under light throttle, and reduced power output. One factor that accelerates this carbon accumulation is fuel starvation stress. When the fuel level drops very low, below about 30 miles of estimated range, the high-pressure fuel pump, which sits inside the fuel tank assembly beneath the rear seat or trunk floor depending on the model, begins pulling in air along with fuel. That pump is cooled by the fuel it moves. Running it hot accelerates wear on the internal pump bearings and check valve. Mechanics who own direct injection Lexus vehicles. Never let the tank drop below a quarter full as personal policy. It extends high-pressure fuel pump life, reduces the rate of carbon accumulation by keeping the combustion process cleaner, and eliminates the thermal stress that kills pumps prematurely. A Lexus high-pressure fuel pump replacement runs between $800 and $1,400 at a dealership. A full tank of gas prevents that bill from arriving early. These 13 tricks share one common thread. They all come from understanding how Lexus systems actually work rather than how they appear to work from the driver's seat. The mechanics who apply these techniques to their own cars aren't doing anything exotic. They're simply paying attention to what the engineering is trying to tell them. And the vehicles that receive this kind of attention? They're the ones that hit 200,000 miles and still feel like new. If you're enjoying this video, consider watching the next one where I break down the exact maintenance habits that keep a Lexus running flawlessly past 250,000 miles.